at the end of the day, when you have a product or program that you know people want and need, it is your duty, it is your responsibility to find a way to help them get excited about it. I mean, think about it. You think about the whole weight loss space, the whole exercise space. We all know we need to eat more healthy. We all know we need to move our bodies. We know these things to be true. And quite frankly, many of us want to do it, but we're not very motivated and kind of lazy. And I like eating Snickers bars. Like, it's just, I need someone to help me get into the mindset and the mode of being like, yeah, it's time to get back on track. Yeah, I'm finally going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to take action on that. We actually crave and want those things. We want a mentor, we want a coach, because otherwise we would have already achieved the results that we wanted by now. Well, hey friend, welcome back to another episode. It is snowing here in Portland today, and I have a raspy, sexy voice, which seems to be a common theme lately. We've been done sick in our house. The kiddos have been sick. We all went down sick before Thanksgiving. I'm still recovering, but I am here. We took a little bit of a break on the podcast last week. So if you were missing / wondering where the latest episode was, just with holidays, sometimes it's okay just to take a beat, which we did. But we are back with this episode this is a juicy one, y'all. And I laugh because I stole the word juicy from an old business mentor who she used to use it all the time in her business. Shout out to Tarzan. And I always laughed. I'm like, juicy, that's a weird word. And then I started saying it all the time. And now here we are, me describing today's episode as a juicy one. And it's because we're talking about messaging. Today we are talking about messaging. And I'm going to demystify it for you, because a lot of business coaches and a lot of marketers, they kind of put this idea of messaging up on this pedestal, making it feel like it's this thing that you're after that you can't quite put your finger on and you can't quite figure out. And y'all, it's effective communication. Messaging is just intentional communication to take your audience from where they are to seeing the possibility of your offer, helping them get the transformation they want. That's really what messaging is. It's targeted, intentional messaging. That's marketing. It is marketing, my friends. And with that, if you're thinking, oh, that sounds yucky, no, it's just required. It's just required to be able to sell anything. You're in business, you need to sell things. You need to be able to market those things. And the challenge and kind of the interesting thing in this online space we're in, hang on, I'm going to put on some lip gloss lip gloss chapstick to make me feel a little better right now. This interesting, the marketing space we're in, when we are in this world of delivering content all the time, I think it's really easy to forget that content does need to be intentional if you want to sell digital products, programs, any kind of offer, it's at whatever price point. Like, your marketing does need to generate interest, desire for your offers. And if you've ever heard anyone say like, oh, your marketing shouldn't like create desire, that's schmucky. No, that's just how it works, people. Like, there are a lot of things for sale in the world. And the reality is, for you to get the attention of the kind of person that you want to help, you have to strum up some desire and some interest for your stuff. Otherwise, we wouldn't do things. We do this all the time. We do this all the time, not even in marketing. So think about, I have kids. My kids hate brushing their teeth. Like, they hate it. They just think it's the annoying thing ever. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't particularly love it either. Like, I was never in a household where like, fun thing. When I was a kid, I was never in a household like where teeth brushing, like we would brush our teeth, obviously, but like, I don't know, it wasn't this obsessive thing. I think you've probably heard this before. I was born with a very rare genetic condition. It's a bone condition. My bones are very, very brittle. And part of that is it's a lack of collagen production in my body. I don't have enough of it, which has impacts in other areas with my eyes and my skin and all these other things. But anyways, my teeth weren't always very strong. So I had a lot of cavities and such growing up. And so it's just a normal thing. I wasn't afraid of the dentist. It was just a normal weird thing. Anyways, when I was like 9 or 10, I remember spending the night over at a really, really good friend's house, and her dad was a dentist. And it was the first time I discovered that like dental families are like obsessive with teeth. Like it was this whole bedtime production. They got a whole closet full of dental supplies, like toothbrushes and fluorides and flosses and all these different things in different colors. And when you slept at their house, you got like a whole package of dental stuff. And it was like, and they were all obsessive with their teeth. And it was just very fascinating to me. But anyways, fast forward now as an adult. I mean, obviously I brush my teeth, floss my teeth. I probably should floss my teeth more. But now here I have 2 children that really don't love the idea of teeth brushing. And I'm a parent and I have to figure out how to get my kids to brush their teeth. And I can either do it in a dictatorship way where it's like, you will brush your teeth, otherwise your teeth will fall out, which to be honest, I probably have said that sometimes, not an effective strategy. And even though logically speaking, they need to brush their teeth, like if you want to get a kid to do something, you gotta figure out a more creative way to do it. So you and I both know that they need to brush their teeth, but we gotta make it fun. We gotta make it interesting. So part of my strategy for doing that, we discovered a toothbrushing podcast for kids, and it's a 2-minute episode that runs while they're running their teeth, brushing their teeth, and every 30 seconds it says switch to the other side, switch to the bottom. So it kind of does it for it. It's I guess I've delegated my parenting to a podcast. Go figure. But anyways, the point of this is now my kids like brushing their teeth because they get to listen to the podcast. And okay, bringing this around to you and this idea of marketing and messaging. No, we're not going to like trick your people into brushing their teeth unless that's what you do. Here's the thing. This idea of creating desire and demand for your products, this negative attachment that some people have to it is just, quite frankly, it's just BS. Because at the end of the day, when you have a product or program that you know people want and need, it is your duty, it is your responsibility to find a way to help them get excited about it. I mean, think about it. You think about the whole weight loss space, the whole exercise space. We all know we need to eat more healthy. We all know we need to move our bodies. We know these things to be true. And quite frankly, many of us want to do it, but we're not very motivated and kind of lazy. And I like eating Snickers bars. Like, it's just, I need someone to help me get into the mindset and the mode of being like, yeah, it's time to get back on track. Yeah, I'm finally going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to take action on that. We actually crave and want those things. We want a mentor, we want a coach, because otherwise we would have already achieved the results that we wanted by now. So if we just expect and think that if we just have great information, if we just have good products, good programs, they'll sell themselves. The testimonials will just sell themselves. And how is that working out, friend? It just doesn't. It just doesn't work that way typically. I mean, it probably could work that way, but I don't know about you. I'm not all about just like waiting for things to happen. So it is our duty and our responsibility for us to get better at marketing our services, to get our services and our offers in front of more people. This is where messaging comes in, because so many people think if I just put more of my content in front of my ideal person, then they'll see it and be like, oh, I want to buy it. But that's not how it works. Like, for a case in point, we're talking about healthy eating here. I can shove broccoli in front of your face. I can talk about the benefits of water. I can talk about the benefits of intermittent fasting. I can talk, I don't know, whatever it is, the healthy things that come to mind. I can talk about these things in front of you. It does not mean that it's not going to get you to take action. And the assumption on this, right, is that you have goals, you have health goals, you want to feel better, you want to be able to fit better in your pants, you want to, whatever the health goals are, right? And I know this health analogy is overdone all the time, but it's a really great metaphor because it's easy for many of us to grasp onto. So what I want you thinking about is, if you're trying to convince someone to buy something that they don't need, yes, that is a problem. That is that's out of integrity. That's unethical. That's just kind of a pile of crap. Although, big disclaimer, I buy things that I don't need all the time and I feel fine about it. Like, I have this headband I bought a couple weeks ago. That's like a cheetah print headband. There's no functional thing on the headband. I didn't actually want a bed headband. I'm not a headband person, but I bought it and I'm kind of happy about it. I'm glad that I saw it on the counter at Ulta and I bought it. We buy things all the time that we don't actually need. We don't even think we want. Those are more like lower impulse buy purchases. Sometimes we regret. Sometimes we're super happy that we randomly found it. But what we're talking about in our world of information, we are selling information, we're selling transformations, we're selling coaching, product, services in the digital realm. They're a little bit more intangible, but they have some kind of payoff, and that payoff is typically greater level of confidence. It's making more money. It's achieving goals. It's whatever it is, the thing that you do to help them do. That's different than selling a double. I'm imagining those kitchen hot plate holder things that's like a towel that has 2 mitts in it. You know those? Like nobody needs one of those, but you see one and you're like, I need one of those. That's not what we need to stop people in the online space who compare marketing for like physical products over to information products and then try to be like, it doesn't work that way. I'm just going to call it big fat BS, because selling like information type products is not the same as selling a dishwashing detergent on Amazon. Like it's just not, you can't market it the same. The level of sophistication of the audience, the level of nuance in which you need to market is just different. So if you don't agree with this, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to agree with me. That's not why I'm here, but I'm trying to help build the case here to understand that marketing is not just a straightforward tell people information, and then if they see your offer, they're going to buy it. There is a very specific way in advertising around how you get your offer in front of people and the messaging you put in front of them to help them go, yep, that is what I want. Oop, that is what I need. And that's what I'm after. And then saying that you're the person to work from. And it's called messaging. And messaging is a very specific form of marketing. And it's the language that you use to help guide people towards your offer. And it's not just people in general, it's the right kind of people. So if you've been thrown around this idea of like messaging, let's just rephrase it. It's just strategic communication to your ideal person to help them self-qualify of, is this what I actually want, i.e. the transformation that you teach? Is this actually what I want? And is this the person that's going to guide me to the result? Like that's what messaging is. It's the all aboard on this tour bus. We're going to go tour bus to figure out, is this your problem? Is this you? And then every time you're asking questions, you're saying, are they still on the bus? They're still on the grand tour of the city. And at the end of the bus stop, they've seen all the things. They now understand their problem. They now understand what's possible. They now understand what's holding them back. And they also understand that you can help them get to where they want to go in the next town over. Would they like to board that next bus, i.e. your program? That's what messaging is. Messaging is the bus that carries people through. Now, where you put your messaging, it can be in a variety of things. You use your messaging on your sales page, use your messaging in your pre-launch content, you use your messaging in your webinar or in your challenges and all those kinds of things. The challenge that a lot of business owners have is they deflect their messaging to a copywriter, and they have a copywriter build the sales page and the emails and stuff for them. And essentially you have somebody else building your messaging. And then what happens is when you sit down to build your content runway or your Facebook Live schedule or your content emails before your launch, you're not writing things that are in alignment with the messaging around the launch. And then there is a disconnect. So when you go to launch, you wonder, why are people not signing up? Or when they get into the messaging, like, why are they not taking action? It's because we haven't primed them right. Everything is not rowing in the right direction. So you are the best person in your business to master your messaging. And I will also tell you that you are going to be the biggest in the way person of your messaging. And it's because of this one simple expression. Have you ever heard, you can't read the label from inside the jar? This is true for you as experts. It's called the curse of knowledge. Emily, my business partner, introduced me to this concept months ago. She's like, this is what happens is when experts get so familiar with their topic, this thing, I can't remember where it comes from, so forgive me. We'll cite source it in the show notes. But this idea of the curse of knowledge, what happens is our brain has these pathways when we learn new things. We go through, let's say you learn how to do something new. Let's pretend that you learn how to make I just did this recently with Thanksgiving. You learn how to make mashed potatoes. This is like the simplest thing on the planet, right? You learn how to make mashed potatoes. You've done it once, you've done it twice, you've done it 3 times. Like you don't have to worry about it anymore. When I make mashed potatoes, I don't even think twice about it. Well, this year, my 7-year-old Owen wanders in the kitchen on Thanksgiving. It's like, hey, can I help? And I'm like, sure, you can make the mashed potatoes. And I had to realize, I had to like stop and think for a second, hold on, I got to actually walk him through the pieces. My 7-year-old child has never learned how to use a peeler. like a vegetable peeler. I'm like, oh, oh my gosh, I have to teach him how to use a peeler. So and 7-year-old slippery potato, how do you make sure that they don't cut themselves with the peeler? I'm actually teach him how to like hold it on a dish towel, like put on dish towel and then you like shave off. But like, how do you teach someone how to use a peeler? Like all these little things, right? Let me circle this back to you. I hadn't thought about using a peeler. I mean, I use a peeler. I don't think twice about it all the time, but like thinking back how to teach a 7-year-old how to use a vegetable peeler, it's like a very specific conversation. And then going into, okay, now we got to chop the potatoes up, put them in water or put them in a pan, then fill the pan to cover the potatoes in cold water. And like thinking about the steps of something very simple like mashed potatoes. Okay, now here's the deal. Let's try this, apply this over to your business. In teaching what you teach, it is way more complex than mashed potatoes. There are like a bajillion other things that go into doing the thing that you teach, whether you're a business coach, a career coach, maybe you teach copywriting, or you like you run services in your business, whatever that is, the specific thing that you teach and the transformation you create for clients is far more complex than the couple steps of peel the potato, wash the potatoes, peel the potatoes, slice the potatoes, cover the potatoes, boil the potatoes, rice the potatoes, like all the things, right? The Curse of Knowledge states that when you first start doing something, there's all these little steps that you're highly aware of, like when you first start driving, highly aware of all of the pieces that happen, like you're very in tune with it. But after you do something so many times, your brain actually goes into these shortcut modes where you no longer are aware of taking all of the steps. You just know the broad strokes. So for potatoes, I think wash and peel the potatoes. This is a terrible example now because it's like so simple. Let's go to the driving analogy. So with driving, it's like you tell someone directions of how to get to the store. Now it'd be like, hey, go north on I-5, take the Bright Street exit, turn left on Sandy, and you'll see the store. That's easy instructions. That's the instructions of an expert, right? Or an expert would just say, it's on 71st and Sandy. I don't know. This is not real roads. I'm just making things up here. But when you were new, right, if you're trying to work with someone who has never driven before, you have to step back with the like, okay, first, you're going to use the clicker on the keychain to unlock the car. Then you're going to get in the car and buckle your seatbelt. Then you're going to set the key inside the ignition and turn right, but not too long, because if you turn right, you're going to fry the ignition. So wait for the and then go. You see how like granular detail on here? Okay, the curse of knowledge is it has been so long since you have stepped into a driver's seat for the first time, you're not even aware of those things. So bringing it back to messaging, here's the secret piece. For you being the best person to be able to speak to your ideal person and to really master your messaging, you know your person the best, but you also are your biggest blind spot because you don't remember those little pieces around how do I actually get into the driver's seat? Like, oh my gosh, I forgot that I have to tell someone that? Like that seems so obvious. Yeah, for you, it seems so obvious, but remember, your ideal person is not where you are. They do not have the level of knowledge. They do not have the level of awareness, the level of anything really. I mean, and maybe they have gone to the car before, but they didn't realize that maybe it's a stick shift on a car. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up here, but you see here, this curse of knowledge comes in where this is where people really struggle to understand what is the messaging to move the ideal person into saying, okay, this would be a really good fit for me in the program. It's the self-qualifying process that we guide our ideal clients through. And in that process, they become empowered to make the decision that's appropriate for them. That's the power of really good messaging. But if you are blinded by the curse of knowledge, if you're not like really clear around those early starts and really where your audience is in their journey, you will struggle with messaging. So what I wanted to do today is I want to share with you, these are 7 essential ingredients that we put into a signature talk. And let me just make the leap between messaging and a signature talk. One of the reasons why we help people create signature talks at the Speaker Co. is a signature talk is it's your messaging, like, crammed in to a 60-minute keynote. It is really your messaging. It's essentially what we do is we teach people how to communicate in a way that gets business objectives done, right? How do you communicate a message And the result is objectives are achieved. So oftentimes, but Emily and I both got our starts in this area of teaching keynotes from corporate stages, or working with sales executives or executives in corporate, helping them achieve business objectives through speaking on stages, whether it was sales presentations at conferences or internal conference meetings. I was the one in giving stage talks. I was also creating stage talks for people. Emily has created so many stage talks. Like, that's how we got our start, was saying, how do you package up information and knowledge in a way that actually gets results for the audience and the person on stage at the end? That's where our background comes in. And so when we both got into the online spaces, what we started realizing was, holy crap, like, maybe it's on a stage, but also maybe it's in a different way. Maybe it's on a sales call. Maybe it's through email communications. Maybe it's through a conversation and a sales page. Like, there are all these different ways that you convey communications you communicate with your audience. What we do is we train people, how do you actually deliver it in a concise, packaged up presentation, so that when you're not on stage, you know the notes and the rinse and repeat messages to talk to your audience about, so that you can confidently get results in your program. So side note, if you've ever wondered, like, but why do I need to talk? Or I'm not really interested about speaking on stages. Somebody just told me to listen to this podcast with this gal who's a speaking coach, but I don't know if I need a speaking coach. Fast forward, friend. You do need a speaking coach, because communication, effective communication, is going to be your best asset in building your business in 2023. So what I want to walk you through is the 7 essential ingredients that you need for really powerful messaging. And what we say is, these are the 7 ingredients that you need in any single talk, presentation that you deliver. If you want to get outcomes for your business, you have to have these 7 things happen. And we look at them from the lens of, what does your audience need to experience? Your ideal client sitting in front of you or listening to you, what do they need to experience in order for them to say, yep, I'm still on the bus, I'm with you? They are self-assessing if this is the right next step for them, so that when they get to the end bus stop with you and you say, would you like to continue? Their answer is a very clear yes, if they are a good fit. Okay, so you're helping them self-qualify on the process. So here are the 7 ahas that they have to have, paired with the ingredients that go with it. And side note, this is something that we teach inside our free training. We're going to have another one coming up here real soon, so pay attention. Look in the show notes to see when this is. It's called the 7 ingredients to an effective talk. So we teach this inside of our free trainings. It's also some of the core curriculum inside of our program, the Speaker Society, which we are doing a short last call for the year doors open next week at the time when this airs. So you should have a presentation coming up. We'll have I think a presentation at the time you listening to this. There'll be one happening next week. So look in the show notes to see when you can jump up on this. If it's not available, jump on the wait list for the next time we open doors for the Speaker Society, because you can see us put this into action. I don't know about you, but I like seeing things in action to see examples so that I can actually make it work. Okay, so here are the 7 ahas. Your audience has to have this clear moment of, oh, that's me. That's my problem. When it comes to good messaging, your audience has to feel like, oh my gosh, they get me. She gets me. That is my problem. That is number 1 aha that has to happen. And the ingredients that you bring to the party is called validation. You bring validation. You help them pinpoint their problem. Aha number 2, yes, that is exactly what I want. They have to have that thought and feeling while they're on the bus with you in your messaging of clarification of, oh, that is what I want. You put language to what I want. It's called destination. Number 3, I've never thought about it that way before. There has to be some kind of interesting perspective that you bring to the conversation that they haven't thought about before. You can't come in and be all Captain Obvious to them. And remember, Captain Obvious for you is different than Captain Obvious for them, but you have to provoke their thinking. It's one of the most powerful things you can do in your messaging. Aha number 4, they have to be thinking, oh, I can see how this all fits together. I can see the process here. I can see the interconnectedness of this, and that's context. You need to help them understand that what you're talking about and the challenge they're having and what they want fits into their bigger, broader world. It's called context. Number 5, they have to think like, okay, hold up. This is actually doable. like an almost a moment of like, okay, it's actually not that, it's not as complicated as I was making it be, because you simplify it. You bring a process to it. This is where your proprietary framework comes into place. Number 6, they have to be thinking, oh my gosh, this is the person to guide me. They really have to feel connected to you. They have to trust you. You have to bring some credibility to the party. They have to be like, okay, this is the person. Now, let me do a little side caveat here. Have you ever bought a program from someone that you didn't actually really like and didn't really respect, but you really wanted their work? Yeah, I've done it too. I've done it too. And this will happen, but I can tell you your best customers, your best transformations, your best testimonials, they are the people who are not that. If you ever buy something in spite of someone, like, I don't know if you've had this too, but I've always had this going, oh my gosh, I hope to gosh, this never happens to me. I never want anyone to be in a position buying something, being like, I'm buying this thing because I know it's really good, but that Heather Sager character is the freaking worst. I'm fine if somebody thinks that I'm the absolute worst. I know I'm a little crass, if you say. I know I'm not like super polished and put together and all fancy with my fancy clothes and everything online. And that is by design. I don't ever want to put off this persona that I'm super uppity and fancy. And I mean, I like fancy things, but also y'all, I like to kick back and not take myself seriously like that. Anyway, so I digress here, but like what we have to make sure is that when we come alive in our own real raw persona, when we actually bring our real self and our expertise to the party, our person is going to be like, I have to work with you. I have to work with you. Like, oh my goodness, maybe this offer is not the one, but like one day I will work with you. That's how you start getting really good brand loyalty, and you start building a really engaged group of fans. And those people are like become your ride or dies. Number 7, aha, that has to happen is that person sitting in front of you or going through your messaging, they have to have this moment where they believe in themselves and say, I can totally do this. I can totally do this. And that happens because you have to make sure that you ride the line between being the coach, being the educator, but you also have to step in the role of being a little bit of the inspirational, motivational speaker. And I hear this a lot from people who are like, I'm not trying to become the next Mel Robbins, or I'm not trying to become the next inspiration motivational speaker. But the fact is, when you teach information, when you are an educator or a coach, it's part of the job is you have to bring inspiration and you have to help them get motivated by you inspiring them through your words. You have to do the pep talks. You have to help people believe in themselves, because I mean, here's the thing. I want you to think about, like, how do you talk to yourself right now? I mean, are you always like in support of yourself, or do you dog on yourself sometimes? I know I totally do. I have to catch myself because I'll dog on myself all the time. I'll critique myself. I'll say terrible things to myself sometimes. Actually, probably a lot of times. And I think we all do that. And when we find a coach that has a clear path, that is credible, that actually shows the process, and we believe that process is possible, and then they help us feel good about ourselves and they cheer us on in that process, not in a BS way around like, I hate it when people do BS things around like, you're doing so good. Like, you're so amazing. I know your work is so incredible. And you're like, bro, you don't know me. You literally know nothing about me. Like, when people throw a lot about those compliments that are they're so marketing oh my gosh. And I laugh because I'm like, I throw compliments out all the time, but like, you balance it, right? You balance it. But you have to figure out a way to do it that's authentic for you. But these are the things that have to happen. These are the things that have to happen in your messaging if you want it to work. Let me say them again. So I'll tell you the ingredients that went with the 7 ahas, and we'll have these listed in the show notes for you if you'd like them. So you can check it out there. Head on over to, just go to the show notes and click, and it'll take it over to our blog on the Speaker Co page. The 7 ingredients were validation, destination, perspective, context, process, credibility, and encouragement. Those are the 7 things that have to happen inside. Now you're probably asking, like, what are the details? Like, what do I actually do there? We can teach you the exact process of how you create a signature talk that helps guide your audience from where they are towards your offer to make it an easy hell yes for your right person. Join one of our upcoming trainings. We're going to have a couple happening. Like I said, we have one this month, and then we have another one happening in January. We'll be opening up information around that. We're opening up the doors to Speaker Society in February of 2023. So if you head on over to the speakerco.com /waitlist, no, /society. I think that's it. Go to the show notes and get the link, but you can get on the wait list for that. This is what we do is we teach people how do you organize the information in your head to build it into a persuasive message that gets results. So if you're thinking, okay, but I'm not doing launches, you don't need to have a signature talk. Essentially is how you communicate a message that has a persuasive connotation. We need to persuade someone to anything. And persuasive is not a bad word, but persuasive is necessary in communication. Whether you do marketing, whether you're selling one-on-one services, whether you're trying to get buy-in and corporate, you're like a team lead or something, persuasive communication is a necessity. And these 7 things that have to happen are the root of any form of persuasive communication. They're things that we've used for clients at Intel and Nike and Vans and all these other big brands we've used and had clients speak on their stages before. These will work for you too, but you have to learn how to start stepping out of the role of sitting on your end of I just want to talk about content. Let me share my best stuff and hoping that, if I just have my best stuff, I'm just going to attract my ideal person. In order to attract your ideal clients into your world and work with the kind of people you want to work with, you can't just sit back with good content. You have to be intentional with your content. You have to develop messages that are truly magnetic. And in order to do that, you have to understand how your audience ticks. And I hope today's conversation helped you start thinking about things in a new way. I hope the example around the navigating with driving, right? How often with your audience are you telling people to turn left on Fremont and then it's 3 stops down on Riley Street? That's where the store is, when you've forgotten the whole step around they don't even know how to drive the car. How often are you doing that with your audience right now? So if you've been struggling with your messaging, or if you're like, okay, maybe you're getting traction. This is actually probably more appropriate. You are getting some traction. You've gotten people to say yes. You've been selling your offers, but you're struggling with the scale piece. You're struggling with how do I continue this on repeat? I'm getting clients coming in. Maybe you're really making money off referrals. You're really relying on referrals in your business. Now you're asking yourself, but how do I get it on repeat? How do I make sure that I have a sustainable way to bring leads into my business? And if that's your big goal for 2023, friend, I'm going to really encourage you when you think about brainstorming for this next year, I want you to write at the top of your list, I'm going to confidently and effectively talk about my expertise in a way that will align my message or align my offers with people who need the help. Like, I'm going to make becoming a magnetic communicator the #1 skill I need to build in 2023, because when you learn to communicate more effectively, when you learn to communicate the value of your offers, when you learn to communicate your packages, when you learn to communicate the pain points of your audience, when you learn how to communicate the transformation that you can create, when you learn to communicate the results of your the results of your existing clients, i.e. share their stories, when you learn how to do these things effectively, business becomes much lighter. It's less about getting every little thing in your business perfect and fixed, and more about leverage. Because when you do this one thing really, really well, i.e. communicate effectively, you're able to do so many other things well. You can write better emails. You can be better on social media, whether it's on video or writing captions. You can get better quality clients. You can make sure that you're speaking to the right audiences, i.e. you can get yourself on podcasts. You can get yourself on higher quality stages behind masterminds. You can get paid to speak and bring an additional revenue source in your business. But it all comes down to your ability to persuade and communicate and entertain an audience. I might be a little biased, but might I recommend that become your #1 skill for 2023? And if you lean into that, what becomes possible for you? If you lean into that for the next 6 months, oh my goodness, what would you be looking at in June in terms of what you've already completed in the first 6 months of this year? So as we start rounding out your year, I really want you to think about that. I know it's annual planning time. You're probably doing debriefs around how you ended up last year, while you're focused on next year. I really want you to think about what are the skills you need in order to be effective next year. And if I were you, I would put communication at the highest top of your list. And I'm your girl. If you want help on that, keep listening to the podcast. We have a lot more episodes. Just a heads up, we are going to be taking a break on the podcast at the end of December, and we're going to be coming back with a bang in January with a really big announcement on the show. So stick tuned for that. We still have another couple episodes before the end of the year. But for right now, I just want to tell you how grateful I am for you, how excited I am for you. I know you've been working your tush off, and I say that with full, genuine sincerity. I've been talking to many of you in the DMs on Instagram, many of you inside of my program. programs. I'm so grateful for you. And I know you are working so hard, and let this be a time that you slow down and celebrate what you have accomplished this year. Take inventory on that, have gratitude for yourself, give yourself a freaking high five, and also allow yourself to dream around what you want to create next year. Start thinking about, what is it going to take? What's it going to take? What skills are you going to need for you to get there? Is this totally possible for you? But it's going to require you doing something a little bit different. And I don't think that different thing is going to be a different strategy. I think that different thing is going to be a different approach. And I think that approach is going to start with you and how you show up. All right, friend, I'm cheering you on as always. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, give me a shout on Instagram, tag this or take a screenshot, tag it, share it with your friends. Your reviews of this show, can I just make a big ask? If you have not left a review on the show in 2022, can I ask for a holiday gift for you, from you? Can you please take a moment, leave a review, any kind words that you have. People make recommendations around this. We have worked our tails off to be in the top 2% of podcasts. And we have a big goal to crank up a 0.5 percentage point in 2023. And it would really mean the world if we can start the year off with another flux of reviews. So please take a moment, leave a review. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, friend.